To go in more depth about the United States, we are believers and followers of Christ. So we actually believe the word of God when it says that the United States is Babylon and the United States is under judgment. So all of those things are very real to us. And with the message from God saying you need to go, we actually just said, okay, we need to be obedient and we need to go. So we were not running away from anything. We actually had a very good life. We had been, like I said, at that point in time, 28 years married. Had been in the home that we were in for 20 years. That was our forever home. We were fine. We were good. There was nothing terrible going on in our life. We are business owners. That was going very well. So it came somewhat of a surprise, but when God delivers you for something, you don't sit back and be like, not today, maybe tomorrow.
Dearly beloved.
Hello, hello, hello. Hey, y'all. It's me, SB, for my family back there in the United States. And for my family here in South Africa. What was it? Sabu. I know I got it wrong, y'all. I probably got it wrong, but it's Sabu. Anyway, Cebu. Mr. Boss is going to continue to remind me, Cebu. Anyway, y'all, how y'all doing tonight? I hope y'all have, it's nighttime here. It's approximately 6:34, where it is 12:34 on the east coast of the United States. Listen, we had a little delay because we had some fabulous rainstorms here in South Africa. Yeah, they had good rainstorms here. You know, it starts with no clouds, right? No sun, but no clouds. And then you have this like slight little, boom, 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 then bang, then lightning, then a lot of rain, then a lot of rain, and a lot of rain. That's what we had here tonight, but it was good. But that's what kept us a little bit. But we're here now. We're here now, and we're doing our live show. And hopefully that you all can join in. And always know that these shows are coming so we can kind of bridge the gap, so my United States family can understand a little bit more about South Africa, and me too, because I'm learning also. So listen, we did it last week. We've been doing it for the last couple of weeks. So let's just, hopefully we can just stay in this mode and continue to have you guys come up, call in. And if you have anything you want to share, definitely do so. Tonight's topic is, yes, there is a middle class in South Africa. Now, this came from two places. It actually, I never thought about it per se, but it makes good sense. All the times when we get the calls, it's always, or when things are being illustrated, you either get people who are poor or lower income, or you get people who are rich or appear to be rich or have a lot of means, right? Or a lot of wealth. But no one ever talks about the middle class. And then a lot of times too, like being on Web Nation and other channels, people always say, where can just regular folks live? Or where can I live? Like that. So that is one reason why we're talking about the middle class. But also I want to give a shout out to Trulani Selly. Now, I could have that wrong, but I'm thinking the name is Trulani Selly. This person actually emailed me, and we're going to read the email in just a moment, but I want to let you all know, just like he or she, and I'm not sure what Trulani is, you tell me. I don't know if he's a he or a she, I'm not sure. But you all can also write in at sbshow2020, gmail.com if you have a topic that you want to discuss. I'm open to that, or something that, you think I should know that we can talk about. So keep that in mind. You can also give me a shout out at sbshow2020@gmail.com and let me know if you have a topic you would like for me to discuss. I would appreciate that, actually. So who do we have here? Scorched Earth. How are you doing? Haven't seen or talked to you in a while. He says, hi, Auntie SB and Uncle Boss, dearly beloved.
Dearly beloved.
It's good to see. It's good to hear or see from you. I hope all is well. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're staying out of trouble, and I hope you found another place to live. I'll catch you up on all that one day. But I'm glad to hear from you. Agnof, am I right? Hopefully. Peace to you also. Thank you so much for being here. Anna, I could be wrong. 35% middle class. Really? You know what? I'm glad you gave me a percentage. I didn't come up with a percentage, but when we get into it, they actually gave me a number on the research that I saw, but we're going to talk about it because, it's like the middle class is not ever talked about. It's almost like that. You know how they talked about the middle child? It's like they're kind of forgotten. No one ever talks about the middle class. And typically, that middle class actually drives the economy in countries. So this is interesting. So we're going to talk about it a little bit, but I want to get more from you all because it's different. It's different, but I want to hear what you all think about the middle class and why is it so hard to define? Because actually, when I was doing my research, so many people had different ideas of what middle class should be. So we're going to talk about it and why that could be, the case. But what else has been going on this week? We've had a fairly good week. It is Thursday evening. I told you guys it's 6:38 here in South Africa, about 12:38 on the East Coast. And Scorched Earth, you over there, you used to be in California. So my goodness, it is what time? 3:38 probably where you are. So we just got everybody in place this time around. Miss Juanita, how are you? How are you? Trulani is a male and Zulu. Okay, thank you so much for that. It means be quiet. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Yep, he then had a suggestion. So this show goes out to him, and we're going to read his email. And hopefully he'll definitely see it. If not, I'll come into the live and just let's talk about it more because it was his discussion, his topic that he wanted to discuss, something good and pleasant, I think. So hopefully he'll come in tonight. But what else do we have? Oh, we had a good week so far. It's Thursday evening. I did get my package, my Zulu. Good day, Sobona. I could be wrong, but yeah, I got it. I'm listening, so it's coming. It's going. We're gonna say some words here and there. I'm gonna mess up some words here and there. You better know it. But soon I will be whole sentences, not for long though. It won't take me long, y'all. It won't take me long. So just give me some time. I'll get there. What else is there going on this week? It's been kind of quiet this week. Thank you guys, the new subscribers, all that I have that's been coming in. The last live did very well. Let me just say this, just in case you all didn't know, and anyone who may want to call into the show, Mr. Boss is going to drop the link sometime soon and allow you all to come up and speak. But I need to let you all know when we have lives, a live is definitely what it is. It's live, it's in the moment. What we actually do, or what he actually does, is go back and he'll edit and cut up some things for us to use, things that were important, parts that kind of stood out and things of that nature, actually talking points. And you're going to see it again. So even if you wasn't at the live or, something happened live, you may see some talking points or something come up later on that happened at the live. No big deal. It's just clips, just bringing more things from just more things for you to see. Nothing new, nothing different. But we do want to get more comments or more engagement about things that happen at the live for people who were not there. So you might get that. All right. So T. Johnson says, greetings. I hadn't seen you in a while. Hello. How are you doing? Miss, what did you say? Laugh out loud. Well done. I'm getting it, Mrs. Juanita. Give me some time. I'm going to get it. But anyway, other than that, what else have I done this week? Nothing. Nothing. It's been somewhat of a quiet week. It seems like I did something, though. Nothing too much. Did I do anything this week? It's been pretty good, y'all. It's been pretty quiet, but pretty good. Oh, we actually had a little small emergency. I had to take my husband to the dentist, so we did that, but he's good. You know what reminded me that we didn't get some. Anyway, this is a personal thought of mine. But anyway, everything was good. Everything has been in order. It's been another good week here. I am appreciating these storms. I hope y'all still hearing it come in, but it is definitely passing. I wanted to come on and get started with the show. But I love this rain that we have. I definitely do. Summer is coming. So for y'all that didn't know, it is beginning to be summer here, coming up to be summer here, and it's winter in the United States, which is very much different. Over here, they've already started putting out the Christmas trees and the Christmas decorations, and it seems so funny because it's 70 degrees outside, sometimes 75. So it is funny, but it is like, wow, this is good. So all that is going on. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the show. Doing well at working. Mr. T. Johnson say they're working. Miss Juanita, you said it well. Custom dictates, I say it back. I got you. Okay, so here we go. Tulani, he says, hey, SBU.
Not yet.
Oh, wait a minute. Mr. Boss said we ain't quite ready yet.
You gotta wait till you sit on that screen.
I did.
Okay.
What screen you want? The big one, right? All right, so listen, guys, when you're coming into the live, please give me a thumbs up. I would definitely appreciate it. That would be great. Did Kid Greatness reach out to you? No, not that I know of, but I am not a big email person or Instagram person, so maybe I should check those things. Should he be reaching out to me? I did see that he was nearby. He's in Pretoria. I did see that on one of his videos, but no, we have not had any type of conversation. All right. It says here I'm going to go ahead and read his email to me, and we're going to get right into it once we're done, and I want to hear from you all what y'all think. He says, I'm a subscriber to your channel and have been watching with interest some of the topics you have covered. I discussed in your channel, including Lobola, etc. Say, listen, he liked the Lobola talk, the marriage talk. Y'all, did y'all know I love marriage talk, love. I want everybody that wants to be married and some of those that don't know they want to be married to be married. That's who I am. So anyway, what I have noticed that most visitors to South Africa or wherever people speak about South Africa, wealth and standard of living, the focus is always about rich versus poor. The Santon and the private estates lifestyle versus the extreme poor in the townships and informal settlements. He is so right, dead on. That is all we ever talk about. That's, you know what, until recent, this is my experience. Until recent, we didn't even talk or hear about the wealth. It was only about the poor and townships and informal settlements. That's it. That's all we know of Africa. I'm talking about Africa, the continent. Now that I'm here in South Africa, I do now see the wealth, and I also have seen the poor in the townships and the informal settlements. It's beginning to make sense. But we drive by and we see the middle class all the time, but no one ever speaks about it. So let's just continue. He says, however, there's a huge middle working class in South Africa, often referred to as the missing middle, who make up a vast majority of the workforce and tax-paying majority. These are people that are not poor enough to be of interest or make it to travel vlogs, but also not rich enough to be mentioned as an example of successful African. Wow. Most of the people in this group have interesting rags to riches stories and are probably the most hardworking South Africans. How about that? They have a 9-to-5, but also a 5-to-9 side hustle to boost their income. They can't afford to live in Santon, but can afford the Santon lifestyle. I love this. This is making everything make sense, because I'm going to tell you guys, when I go to these malls, because y'all have huge malls, so many, I can think of 4 or 5. They're huge. The malls are the size of towns, in my opinion. I'm always seeing people shopping, and I'm always asking myself, I was saying to myself, these folks got money. Somebody got some money. Because there's always somebody shopping, include me. I'm shopping too, but somebody got some money, because there's always somebody shopping. And of course, I go and I think about what I left. Like, I'm coming from the United States. And in the United States, a lot of the malls, things were shutting down. A lot of the stores were closing down. You know, one day your favorite store, Banana Republic, one day was there. Banana Republic is no longer there. One day, your favorite shoe store, just so many stores have closed down over the last, I'm going to say over the last 10 years, that it's like, what is going on when you sit and think about it? Excuse me. But when I get here and I see and I go to the malls, I'm like, no, somebody's spending money. So it makes sense now. It is the missing middle class. It's these hardworking people out there making money. It's the ones from 9 to 5. It's the bank people. It's the insurance people. It's the small businessman. How about that? It's all those people that are keeping this economy going. So I want to hear what y'all think too. But I also have some stats that I looked up, which says let's define what the middle class is, and it's probably also teachers, maybe not university level. They probably make more money, but like teachers, maybe primary school teachers. It could be maybe my esthetician. It's just so many people fall into this category, and we just totally overlook them. We definitely do. When I say overlook, I don't mean in a negative way. I'm just saying they never get the attention. They never get the attention that we give to the rich or to the ones that are living in the informal settlements. They don't. So here, there is no single official definition for South African middle class. See, that's the first problem. Nobody can seem to agree what makes a middle class person here in South Africa. Listen, it was so many different sources. They just could not totally agree on what middle class was. So listen here. It says there is no single official definition for the South African middle class, with income estimates for households varying significantly from 5,000 Rand to 29,000 Rand per month, depending on the organization and the methodology used. Some sources, like the Bureau of Economics Research, BER, define at 5,000 to 20,000, while others place it higher, 8,000 to 29,000 per month. You see there? We can't agree. Why y'all can't agree? I'm saying y'all now. Why y'all can't agree on what middle class is? But anyway, this is a variant, but it's pretty much the same. For my family in the United States, let's converge. Let's make this a conversion, because if those of you in the United States have enjoyed and liked what you've seen of me here in South Africa, a lot of other Americans, Black Americans or African Americans, if y'all see that and you think, you know what, this may be some place for me to live. I've gotten a lot of comments. They say things like, y'all have these big old houses. Where does the regular people live? Or they say things like that. And this is what I guess we would call regular people, or the middle class people. So I want to share with you what this income range is. So you're looking at R 5,000, Rand 5,000 to 20. I'm gonna say 29,000. I'm gonna go up to 30,000. Wow, so I'm gonna do a conversion on that, and I'm just gonna tell you what that looks like. 5,000 Rand is, and this is for my family in the United States. There's a lot of different types of currency. All right, 5,000 Rand is approximately $290 a month. So you can live here middle class from 5,000 Rand, which is approximately $290 a month, to, I'm going to do 30,000 Rand, which is $1,743 a month. So you can live comfortably here as middle class from somewhere between, this is a US dollar, which was, again, my mind is very short. It is 5,000 Rand, which is $290, to all the way up to 30,000 Rand, which is $1,700. These are US dollars. So if you are in that range, then you are considered a middle class person of the United States. Now let's see. Let's go over here to Miss Juanita. Mr. Trulani is right. However, the line between the middle and working class is thin. Can we maybe define middle class? Yep, SA civil servants who are the middle class. You know what? We need to add more to this, because you see that nobody can really agree, because even though this may be the job that I work that's giving me the income between 5,000 and 29,000 in Rand, I may have a side hustle, or I may have investments, or I may have other things that fall, that go into my bottom line, that maybe is not reported per se, or maybe is not calculated by the BER. So let's talk about it, because they also said your way of living. You could inherited something. You know, who knows? But it hasn't been agreed upon yet. How do we calculate the middle class? The best that we could do would be from between 5,000 Rand and $29,000, 29,000 Rand per month in earning income. Lovely says, what's over 3,000 US in South Africa? Let's just do that. I got my phone right here. Let's just see what 3,000 is. 3,000 US dollars. 3,000 US dollars is 51,000 Rand. That's 51,000 Rand. So Ms. Juanita says, possibly not. Our 5,000 is spare change. Look at you. Did you not read, Miss Juanita, did you not see the information from the stat? Anyway, our 5,000 is said to be livable, middle class. Okay, we can't decide on what middle class is. This is something that is very important. But here it says our 5,000 to 29,000 per month, depending on the organization and the method of how you receive this. That's what they use. That's what the Bureau for Economic Research has done and used to say you are a part of the middle class. Now listen, these are the people, this middle class here, these are the people that are spending money. These are the people that work at the banks. These are the people that sell insurance. These are the small business owners. These are, I think these are the spa people, the estheticians, the hairdressers. I think that's all of them. Those are the people that is keeping this thing going, because those are the ones I see in the mall. Those pretty girls be in there with the makeup. They get the hair done. Come on. Those are the ones. They buying the clothes. Those are the ones that are keeping this thing going. This is my opinion. Oh, y'all, let me put this disclaimer out there because it's something real funny I found out. You know, when people using the word lie, to me, that's very harsh to say someone is lying. This is a show. Sometimes I bring in some facts, but most of the time I'm just coming with my opinion and I'm open to your opinion, okay? But just know that everybody has an opinion. And it's okay for everyone to share their opinion. Now, if you don't agree with someone's opinion, that's okay, but they're not lying. That's their experience. And that's how
they liars, bro. They lie.
No, they not. They're not liars. They are not lying. That is their experience, and that's how they maybe see the world or what have you. So please, it's harsh when someone has an opinion and they give you their idea of what they've seen or how they experience the world or whatever the situation is, and you turn around and tell them, y'all lying, they lying. SB, they lying. Or how about this? This is a call-in show, and y'all say to me, where did I get this person from? What are you talking about? This is a place where you can come and you can express yourself. Okay? And you can give and say or talk about whatever you want to talk about per se and give your own opinion. I'm open to that. That's what we're doing here. And you're not wrong and I'm not wrong. We just may be on two separate planets at the moment. But it don't matter. This is what we're doing. But okay, so to get back, I just had to get that disclaimer because I get too many people saying that people are lying about somebody's opinion, and that just sounds funny to me. All right, so let's go back a little bit. Lovely says, meaning, is it considered rich or wealthy? I would say, I think you were the 3,000. I would consider that probably wealthy. I think they would consider it wealthy. I didn't even go that far because that just wasn't what we were talking about per se. But when you was talking about 51,000 Rand per month, which is like you said, 3,000, that would be considered wealthy. Yeah. Miss Juanita says, rent a single room is 2,500 Rand to 3,100 before municipality services. Okay. That's working class consumerism, not middle class. Hey, how can you say that? See, you go, Miss Juanita. What do you mean? I said that I see folks that I think work and spend their money. That is some consumerism going on. Don't get me wrong. I realize it. But hey, consumerism is what keeps this thing going. Not everybody stays in the house and don't go outside and don't buy nothing. Some people are out there in that mall buying perfume, makeup, hair, whatever they need and enjoying their hard work from the week before. That's what people do. That's what women do at least, and men too. So that's what we're doing. But anyway, Miss Juanita, gratefully blessed. How are you? Hello, SBU and everyone. I'm new here. I enjoyed your house tour. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Cameron Carr, self-control and common sense are no longer common. You know what? I don't know who you are, but I bet I've been here longer than you have. And it's been outdated a long time ago. Common sense been left the room. I'm just here telling you, it's common sense been gone. Common ain't common. It's not. Prolific A1. I get the BER claims to have done its research, but as an everyday South African citizen, I can honestly say 5,000 Rand to 8,000 isn't classified as middle income salary. You're barely surviving. You know what? So you would be a reason why I'm agreeing with you, I should say. There were 3 or 4 different sources, and they could not agree on what middle class was. It went from 5,000 to 8,000 up to 29,000. I think somebody else said 30,000. It was just no agreement. But what I got from that was just what we talked about, meaning that there could be other sources. And Trulani also said it. He said, Trulani, excuse me. He also said that they also have side hustles. So this could be just not knowing how the income is coming in or how the resources are there. They just basically maybe just doing stats on employers and their tax returns or things of that nature. I don't know where they got the information from, but that's what they're coming from. I mean, you know, it could be this is what businesses are claiming. I don't know. But again, to me, it sounded very low too. But I don't know. But, you know, to hear you say that, I understand. Hank Spanks says Ramaphosa's chicken South Africa back to apartheid. Huh? You're going to have to explain that. I do not read between the lines. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know if I should have said that out loud. You might be talking about me. Who knows? Ms. Wadida says, I'm not disagreeing with you. No, I know you're not. But I'm just saying that you're right. It is some consumerism, but that is also considered middle class. If that's not considered middle class, I want you to tell me what middle class would be for you. And Prolific, I would love to hear from you too, because the middle class is what actually keeps the everything going. Those are the people that are spending money. Even in the U.S., that's how it's done. You know, so if we keep interest rates down and things of that nature, the middle class can buy homes and all these things, and it could really revive or turn South Africa around if we think it needs to be adjusted in any way. It could definitely thrive more. It would definitely do so. You know, again, you know, I know you all say we run into corruption here and there, but this is just what we're talking about. They are the people who work from 9 to 5. And then guess what, though? If y'all got some better information, you know, if the 9 to 5 people that work, like I said, at banks, at wherever, 9 to 5, Microsoft, is there nothing there? Microsoft here? Apple Store, all these different places where people work and they make good money. They're there sometimes from 9 to 5, you know, corporate jobs. But even some of these retailers selling furniture, whatever they do to make their money, y'all tell me what y'all think a better middle class would be far as money making and what have you. Because guess what? Another part of this is 4 million to 4.2 million. I think it was. Let me see that next stat. 4 million to I think it's 4 million to 4.2 million people are actually, let's see, the South African middle class is not defined by a single number due to varying incomes and wealth definitions. So by research of 2023 to 2024, it indicates it includes about 4.1 million to 4.2 million working adults earning 8,000 to 30,000 monthly, and potentially up to 13 million individuals in a broader mid-market segment earning 10,000 plus per month. More specific figures are difficult to provide because definition of middle income households vary significantly between different research bodies. You see, we can't agree. So y'all are right. We cannot agree. We don't know what it is. But it's been so many people, I guess, there's just not enough attention that's being paid to the middle class. It's a missing middle class. I think if we could concentrate on middle class, we might just have a better focus on more people. But you know how it goes. We don't. Like, it's just like he said, Trulani said it. We focus on wealth and poor. So this is something new. I want to hear what you all have to say, because I think the middle class is what keeps this thing going, because it does. Somebody's spending money. It is, to me, this is a very wealthy country. That's what I see when I think of South Africa, although I do know that there are people who are poor, but that's everywhere. I see wealth here, and it is not talked about. I mean, the middle class is not talked about. Here, on the other side, meaning in the West, from the U.S., all we talk about is the problems that South Africa has, or that Africa has, or being poor in South Africa, or not having this or not having that. And I just think that we should let everyone know that there is a middle class, and they are working people. There's corporate, everything. Everything is there in place, and this is how these people live. This is what I think. Lovey says maybe she means middle class and working class, not necessarily middle class USA in comparison. Well, in my mind, y'all can help me out with this, even though we can't compare the money per se, but I think the purpose of the middle class is somewhat the same. In the United States, the middle class drives the economy. If the middle class people are not spending, then we have inflation. We have a problem. If they're not working and they're not spending money, there's a problem. If they're not buying homes, there's a problem. People, I came across one thing, though, I noticed, I hadn't heard it too many times, but what makes very good sense. There is maybe some corruption or some things that need to be looked into, because if the interest rates here were lower, which actually means if the banks were able or felt confident in investing in the real estate here, then the interest rates would be lower. Then more people could be a part of the middle class. Therefore, people who we may not consider middle class now, they would be considered middle class at that point, because they would be able to invest in their own home. Y'all, home ownership does something to your confidence, I'm telling you. To come home and have your own spot, you ain't paying rent to nobody, you got your own, because now you have a 2% interest rate or 3% interest rate. Now understand this, I understand the banks don't want to, the rates are higher now because sometimes they don't trust the investment. That whole thing maybe needs to be revamped so the middle class can be more defined. It could be defined as homeowners, or you can add home ownership to it, or it could be asset driven. I don't know, but that's kind of like that could be a plus if the banks had more confidence in what they were investing their money or backing in mortgages. Y'all understand what I'm saying? They maybe would finance, like if they knew this house was, built well and it was on good foundation, and who the owner was or who the seller was, whatever motivates a bank to give money. If they could do that at a rate that everyone, that was affordable, let's say a 2%, 3%, no, nothing over 6%, then the middle class would actually, it would be more defined, because you would have home ownership. Because y'all, to buy a house at 2% versus buying a house at 15%, y'all, do y'all realize that's you're not gonna do it. It's not happening. So, I guess with that being said, that it would define more of a middle class if there were more if it was asset driven per se. And I do think the banks would be more apt to lend money if they knew what they were lending to. So again, it may be, I don't know, maybe some corruption there too, where the banks are saying, you know what, I don't trust this investment, or I had to put a higher rate on this particular investment so I can make sure I get my money. Now, listen, if you got a 2% or 3% interest rate and then someone's not paying it, you go back and get that house. You could turn it over and sell it again, because you have a house that is sound in a good neighborhood or whatever, and it could just keep going if that first person doesn't make good on that loan. But if you're not sure of that, or you don't have people in place that could say, with the home inspectors and all those different type people to go out and say, no, this is solid, this is a good investment, the bank can invest in this. Because, maybe y'all don't know, or maybe they do, I don't know for sure here. But even insurance companies loan money for houses. And that's kind of what you want to do to build your middle class market. And I think that's the part that may be missing, is that they don't have the assets. So that may be why it's so hard to define. I don't know. Y'all help me out. Y'all tell me what we got going on over here. Mr. Boss has dropped the link in the comment section, I believe. So if you want to come and add to the conversation, make sure you go ahead and just click it, and we can talk about it. Did I miss somebody? No, I didn't. Anyway, that's what I think, and I think that's why the middle class has not been defined, totally yet. Because sometimes, it is asset driven. You're talking about people who make a certain amount of money and own a certain amount of things. And if that's not a clear definition or obvious here, then that would be why we can't say how much money they're making or what they're investing, or do they have assets and things of that nature. Maybe that's why, I don't know. But I think the middle class is a very good investment. I think that I think the federal government, actually it's not called federal government here, I think the government should invest in the middle class. How about that? The missing middle class should be invested into. So Miss Juanita says, my notes are growing too long. Am I going to call? Look, Miss Juanita, if you got some questions, you want to bring some information, go ahead and click the link. What's going on? You're not able to? Is it storming at your house too? Probably. I don't know. But if you are able to click the link, bring up the information. Let's see, can we walk ourselves through it? It would be also helpful because we're talking about the missing middle class. And you could help because y'all are saying these are pennies, and this is studies that have done, and it's over 4 million people that are part of this middle class. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Y'all explain it to me why the malls are so full. What's going on? Usually they say wealthy people don't spend money in malls and stuff like that. They're investors and all that. I don't know. But y'all tell me, how's it been driven? But listen, while we do that, or while I wait, I do want to mention a couple things that I didn't mention before. The last live that we did, or the last video I put out, and this is all just in bridging the gap, or just getting to know, just getting to know who we are. A young man came on, Sepsa, I think that was his name, Sepsa. And he mentioned civilized and uncivilized, or what have you. I don't know if we have ever taken the time to look up what uncivilized or civilized means. I don't know if we ever done that before. I did do that. And if he was very kind. He talked about his brothers and sisters. And you can't find the link. Ms. Juanita. But he talked about his brothers and sisters very kindly. Now, listen, I think what I'm hearing, or what I hear, or what I see on YouTube and on TikTok, and those are about the only two places I go, is that there are some people that want to keep, or want South Africa to be a first world country, which I absolutely think that it is. I absolutely think that it is. Now, what I would say is that in a first world country, you live by a lot of laws and a lot of standards, and there are a lot of things that govern your behaviors and things that you do. The United States has a lot of governors in place. But y'all also know that the United States is all about capitalism. It's about making money, that it's a machine. And there are some things that are good about that machine, and there are some things that are bad about that machine. And I think some people, maybe not trying to imitate the United States, but I think a lot of people want those type of governors here in South Africa. And I actually think some of those governors are actually necessary. There is a standard. This is a beautiful place. In order to do that, it requires maintenance, and it requires investments. It requires all these things from everywhere. It really does. Or you will lose the beautification. You'll lose the current investments. It'll just deteriorate. You have to maintain what you have. We have to maintain what we have. So I think when the young man was mentioning that, he's just saying, look, we have to get everybody on the same page, and there's a standard that has been set. And I've heard many people say South African Constitution outlines a lot of things. We have to actually work and live by those rules and regulations. So when someone doesn't, some people get kind of put off by it, but it's just people though. It's not saying that it's everyone that's a part of this or everybody that's a part of that. It's just people. Listen, I say this all the time. Some people be like, well, this person, this particular color person, or this and that. You get bad behavior from all people. I hope y'all know that. Bad behavior just didn't come with brown skin. It just didn't come with white skin or yellow skin or whatever you want to say. It did not. It doesn't have a particular skin color that it travels with. There are bad people and bad behavior from all different races and genders and colors of people. So y'all need to know that. You just need to know that it's not one given. It's not a given, and I think some people just want to live with a standard, and that's just how it is. So you're gonna get a difference in opinion. It's just that simple. So who is waiting for us? Is that Miss Juanita? How you doing?
A very serious lady.
Who? Who's serious? Miss Juanita, you not
Me,
serious.
I'm serious. I like you because you're serious too.
You think?
You
I
know.
can be. I can be.
Well, look, I don't subscribe to a lot of people. I subscribe to you, and I
Okay,
have
thank you.
notifications for you. Okay, you're one of like none.
Thank you.
So, I number one, you're a woman. So we share that. Number two, we're both not white, so we're black by black consciousness standards, which is a different story. But I'm black consciousness, BCO,
Okay.
ideology, César, whatever. And number three, you have revealed to me a very unique perspective on what's going on in South Africa's economy. So you brought me up to date with politics, which I'm usually quite clued up about, and you were a surprise.
I did that.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised. I just pay attention. And I have a lot of questions because I don't know about some things. So I kind of question on the side. I want y'all to help me out because I'm thinking, now that doesn't seem quite right. It's just like it's certain things that are missing or maybe too many additives. So I just have questions. So that's what I do. I just ask
Right.
questions. Okay.
Okay, with me also, I'm calmer today. I think I was a bit more highly strung the last time I called, but
Okay.
because I have my own thing going on. But actually, personal stories and political stories, which is the public and the private, because everything's political, the economy, social, class, whatever, it's political. Those two things, very thin line. Because I remember saying to you once before, students I had at an international school that I taught at in Swaziland, the American kids at the time said to me, and that was the year of the xenophobic uprisings, where a man was burned to death, with a tie around him. And it was all happening while I had just begun there. And the
Okay.
American students said to me that actually it was the youth becoming repoliticized that brought in the Obama presidency. And they backed that up. They were that generation, because it's an IB school, so these are not young kids; these are kids who are over 18, right? So
Okay.
they could vote. Um, so yeah, let me not digress though. Let's go back to your discussion of the middle class, right?
Right.
Um, okay, the middle class, technically speaking, a global definition. Let's forget about South Africa because South Africa is very unique. Also,
Yes.
a
Yes.
global definition is the middle class is between the working class and the wealthy, right?
Yeah.
But South
Wait a minute. Wait a
Africa,
minute.
in
Wait
the
a minute. Wait
whole,
a minute. Hold on.
yes,
No. You
yes,
said the middle class is between the working class and the wealth.
wealthy, yes.
I don't agree with
That
that.
is the technical definition.
I thought middle
Well,
class
if
was
we're looking at it
working
from
class. I thought the middle class was
you
the
see,
working
that's
class.
because of where you come from.
Okay, I agree with
Because
that.
in America, middle class the working class is the middle class.
Right. And
That
here
is
they
not the
have
case here.
so that would be okay, so let's get into that part first before you go on. That would be
Right.
the technical difference because the BER, the Bureau of Economic Research has said that the middle class are working class people from 9 to 5s, but there may be other things that go into that. So you said no, you don't agree with that. Tell me what you think that the middle class is.
Well, you see, you can't. Let's start here. Let's bring it back to South Africa. Why middle class is so difficult to define in South Africa,
Okay.
right? Is because we are the country on earth, only country, number one country on earth, with the widest gap between, wait for it, the rich and the poor. The wider that continuum, the more complex it's going to be on either side before you get to the middle. So can I go back to my notes because I think that'll explain that to you. Just give you a little bit more to
No, I
think
see.
upon,
I see where
right?
you're going. I see where you're
Okay,
going. Yeah, go ahead.
right. One of the reasons I invited you the last time to come to Pietermaritzburg, right, is because what you're talking about today, you can see in a drive. around Pietermaritzburg, because it
Okay.
is the entire apartheid space race class map as it was deliberately carved up to last beyond any democracy that could be put upon us for generations upon generations. So an example is that in what was a previously Indian only area, right, in my road where I live, where I am fallen middle class, right, we have the first black homeowner moving into the road ever, amongst a bunch of racist people who just assume that blacks are not as good as them, and who really are some of the most uneducated, and whatever. So it's going to be quite an experience for this man and his family, but he knows that. But what he's doing is he's a black man in Africa now ready to cross over and take a piece of what is supposed to have been his from the start. And he knows the social cultural war he's going to enter, that he will be shunned, that he will not by all of us, but I'm shunned anyway, so I'll join the shunned. I'll be happy. So at the end of the day, that tells you something, right?
Yes.
About race, space, and class. Okay. Civil servants earn a lot of money in South Africa because South Africa's so-called democracy. Look, if you look at South Africa's democracy, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. It's like putting a row of buckets, giving everybody a stone and saying, throw your stone in the bucket. And the bucket with the biggest number of stones becomes the government. We are a constitutional democracy. The government doesn't run the country. The constitutional court does. And what I was pointing out to you last week is that you are underestimating AfriForum's role in the building of that constitution in order to make sure that certain rights, I put it in the comments, but there was too much going on. There are certain rights that are afforded people who don't have the right agenda in this country,
Okay.
racially and economically, to do their own thing. And that has been allowed through all the concessions that were made by the ANC regarding municipality laws as they relate to the Constitution. If you want to dive into it deeper, you can research at Wits University and University of Pretoria in the public administration departments. There are records of master's and doctoral level research on how the ANC was starting off on one foot because of that. And it was forced through because the ANC was standing firm about changes it wanted to make. And the opposite side, the Nationalist Party, now we know as the DA, was refusing. With AfriForum being sorry, can I just finish my sentence? With AfriForum being the one to push that municipal laws as they stand or stood in apartheid era remain the same now because it would make for a smoother handover, number one, right? And number two, it was AfriForum at the same time pushing for foreign Africans to be allowed free entry into the country legally because they had skills which our blacks didn't, because of our special education system of apartheid, which was called Bantu education. They were deliberately setting up a situation now that has resulted in black on black violence, black on black stigmatization, black on black hatred, a lack of jobs for locals, all of that.
Okay.
Now, if you came to Maritzburg, you'd see that in a drive.
Okay, so wait a minute. Wait 1 second. So, listen, I see what you're saying, and I understand that too, because you're kind of going back to what we talked about last week. You're kind of bringing that
Right,
in
but
per
now
se.
here's how it links, right?
Right. So, and
Okay,
you kind
middle
of
class.
you're kind of touching on what my little disclaimer was as far as bad behavior and things of that nature, which I
No, we're
understand.
not talking about bad behavior now. We're talking about economy. We're talking about how
Well,
many middle to middle classes.
well,
Imagine South Africa as a
but
grid,
wait a
a
minute though.
square.
You mentioned
Yeah.
something. You mentioned xenophobic, right? Did you
Yes.
not just mention that?
I'm saying that was something that was deliberately created to happen in the country.
Okay, so from my point of view, that is bad behavior for someone to
Yes,
create.
that's bad.
That's what I
That's
mean by
bad
that.
behavior by AfriForum, a very powerful organization in the country.
Okay, well,
They're the guys I mentioned to you where actually, do you remember that program you did about the child who was abused?
right. I agree what you're saying. I recall that too, but I'm not really talking about them right now. What I'm saying, I thought you were going for, okay, so let's get back to the
Now
economy of
they
it
drive
all.
the middle class.
Well,
That
okay,
drives
so,
what the middle class is in South Africa, right?
okay, so
How
listen,
it drives what the middle class is. Yes.
okay, hold on one second because I want to add to what you're saying. We had a
Yes.
comment here that says working class, the social group consisting primarily of people who are employed in unskilled or semi-skilled manual or industrial work. So I guess this would be people like construction workers, or maybe is this a service industry? Is what exactly is that? Is
Right.
that
Let me tell you some. Let me point that out to you.
right?
You
Because you
see, this
mentioned
person
working
is
class.
correct. Mfezeko is correct that the working class people are people who are employed in unskilled or semi-skilled or industrial work. But you see, that technical definition would include, for example, the shop girls that you're talking about, the ones who work at Clicks or at Edgar's, and then they're single girls and they have money to spend and all of that. But actually, in South Africa, the unskilled labor market has been taken over by illegal foreign workers. But it's local South African middle classes. Those are the business owners. Those are the people who own shops, and those are the people who have money but are not the Oppenheimers who are employing those same people. We are
Okay,
cutting people out of the line here in South Africa. So
okay,
then
so
you
you,
have,
I think we
last
need to
point,
do, wait a minute though,
taxi
wait a minute.
industry.
I
Taxi
think we,
industry, right?
I think we
Okay.
might need to do a show on solutions because every time it always goes back to some form of something, and this
Oh,
is
I
my
have
opinion.
solutions. Oh,
Listen,
yes, there's solutions. Nobody wants them, though. I can send you some write ups, some links to Facebook articles of
this
mine that you
always
can just
goes
read,
back,
full of solutions.
this always goes
Honestly,
back.
I've put forward the most communist solutions I could muster. But anyway,
Listen, Miss Juanita, you got to let me talk. Listen,
sure, sorry.
this always goes back to some form of corruption or definitely solution based. And I understand that and I agree to that. But I think what I'm trying to do first and foremost is identify with actually what's going on, because when we talk about the missing middle class, I thought I had a handle on it when I came.
They're not
Because
missing anymore. I
I
found
thought I
them.
had a
It's
handle.
you.
Wait a minute. I
I
thought I had
found the
a.
middle class. It's you. They're not missing. It's you who are the new middle class. That's why I got interested in you in the first place when I first watched your video. That's why I
I
was
don't
saying to you, you
know.
introduced me
I
to
don't
something new
know.
in South Africa that I found the missing middle class.
I
I thought I was missing the middle class. The middle class is defined by their education as well, Miss SBU here in South Africa.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what it is defined by, because no one has actually been able to say what is this missing middle class. Because listen, I would say you're
It's
exactly right. I would say I am middle class based on what from the United States. I would definitely say that. But when I go to do research on what the missing middle class here, it's like wow. So when I'm saying what I'm saying to you is, even though they're called the missing middle class, in order to get clarity or to define this properly, we need to add some things to it, and I'm asking for your help, or not just you, I'm
yes,
asking for help of South Africans.
let's
But let
yes.
me ask this question first. What do you think about a part or a solution being that if we could say, because I'm used to middle class owning something. Let's just say that I'm used to the
Yes.
middle class owning or home ownership, because that's like growing up. Like when you become your child in your 20s, and when you get in your 30s, and then you become, you say, okay, I got my first house. You like, oh, I'm an adult now. I have something. To me, that's like now I'm middle class because I've worked hard. I was a child. I had to go through this job or this career, or come to this point in my life. But now I feel as though I am an adult and I have a home, I have some assets. That to me is a middle class person. That's a middle class thought. And there is a lot of consumerism that goes on with that, because we are the ones that, keep the ball rolling. So, like you said, Afroform or whoever has taken it over, how are we defining it right now? SB ain't upper class in South SB ain't upper class. Well,
No, no,
Fifi,
no.
how are
Don't get
you?
me wrong. No, no, no. Then I come across as a conspiracy theorist. No, let me just clarify what I'm saying. It's what I said. You see, AfriForum represents interests of a lot of different parties in South Africa, but they're very vague about who those parties are. What I'm saying is that different sides came together to create the South Africa that you now live in, and it was a negotiated process.
Okay, talk
It
about those
wasn't like
different sides.
Zimbabwe,
Let's say what
where
those
there was a
different
war.
sides are. What are
Okay.
those different sides?
So those different sides were the nationalist government, who were the fathers of apartheid, yes.
Okay.
And then you had also the extreme right, who at some point were represented. They represented through parties like the FF. I can't remember what they Volkers Front or whatever it is, whatever, blah de blah. But in South Africa, we have all these political parties, right, that represent niche groups.
Okay.
And then you have these largesse forums like AfriForum, which are an amalgamation of like-minded people with money. So that's how Orania was created, for example. So Orania basically started as a private business that made itself its own country.
Okay.
That's what happens when you own land or can buy it easily and have wealth enough to invest, right? That's the people who live in Orania. To the middle classes of the rest of us here in South Africa and say KwaZulu-Natal, Orania is a dump. Like, who would want to live in Orania? Because it's just a pit. But to them, they think it's wonderful, right? So in South Africa, middle class depends also on where you are. So even in a township, which people would expect to be poor, you have a class set up where you won't find maybe the wealthy because they've moved to Sandton, but you will have the middle class.
Well, wait a minute. Stop right there.
Ratepayers.
Stop right there. I think what you're saying, or what I heard you say, you didn't say it, but even though Aranya is built the way it is, I think that, and even in different townships, I think what we're not saying is that ownership is what gives, that's what drives people. The ownership of it, what I think makes you the middle class. That's what I was just saying. You grow up for a reason. You invest in things or you
And
become
then now
something,
here, yes, now why you are the new middle class is because we middle class here in South Africa, who I own this home.
right?
It is a massive home with a massive yard, but in what was previously an Indian-only township,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So in this area of about 20,000 people, just this suburb really of 20,000, put it that way, in Pietermaritzburg, only Indians lived here. Even while I grew up in apartheid. I'm 52, right?
Okay.
So I'm somebody with a very broad view of a lot, right? Now, I'm saying to you that this is the first time since apartheid ended in 1994 that a black family has bought a house in my road. How many years has that been since apartheid ended?
30 what? 34? 36?
Now, this man who is in construction, he and his wife, as middle class people of the township where they've been living, which was a blacks only township, right on the opposite end of the city. I'm on the north and they're in the south. They've been middle class there, building their business, right? He in construction, his wife, I think, is a civil servant. That's the other point I made in your comments, that the most stable middle class in South Africa are married civil servants, from teachers to nurses. Anybody employed in government is the middle classes.
I would think
If they're a
so.
couple, they are most stable. They're most stable,
Okay,
right?
hold on
Because
for a
they've got
minute, Miss.
pensions, they've
Hold on
got,
for a minute, Miss Juanita. I want to
yeah,
read this comment. AfriForum represents
right.
3.7% of Afrikaners in South Africa. While they inherited gains from the apartheid government, they can never represent the majority of the country. Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you for
Yes.
that. And I think I don't. Are you not saying that? Well, you did give AfriForum a whole lot of control. You did do that. But
Yes, because they
again,
control her through the courts, the judiciary. They don't represent Africans. She's right. But the point is they have the power.
oh,
Unfortunately, the majority of South Africans, let me be very blunt with you. People in
okay.
South Africa don't actually understand how politics works. The reason for that is because of the switch that was supposed to be flicked in 1994. That switch that was flicked was that today it's apartheid and tomorrow it's democracy and everything is going to change. Except it hasn't. And this new change, also you need to you need to just do a bit of research and then also clear yourself so that you're able to engage with your community here. There's a big difference between BEE and triple BEE. Please, you can't mix the two because there is a huge disparate difference between the two.
Okay,
The
say it
one has
again.
been overdriven.
B
There's a big
E
difference between BEE and triple BEE. BEE is Black empowerment, economic empowerment, right?
right?
Triple BEE is broad-based Black economic empowerment.
Okay.
Those two concepts have very different administrative, socio-political, economic structures within South Africa's governmental framework that govern them. What has happened is that BEE has been pushed, triple BEE has been pushed, Black economic empowerment, which is your larger people who are in mining, who are in agriculture, who are in they have entered one foot into what was a whites only enclave of business and ownership. How they did that is another story of corruption, which is coming out at the moment in our commissions and all the rest of it, right? Triple BEE, broad-based Black economic empowerment, is a far more complex government structure. It is supposed to be the thing that is actually uplifting people to and maintaining people in the middle classes.
Okay.
But actually, what's happened is that has not been properly done. People are resistant for many ideas because it involves sharing. That's why I made a joke about communism before. Because in South Africa, nothing changes unless somebody's going to share downwards. You see? Nobody
Okay.
wants to share. So for me, as a middle class, I have a degree. I have 3 daughters, with the youngest in her second year at University of Pretoria now. She will be when she finishes her degree at the end of next year, she will be my third and last daughter with a degree. If I have to put together the cost of my degree, and my parents, who both grew up in shacks, built this house, maintained it as civil servants, they were both teachers, upgraded their apartheid level education even to degrees. They both had degrees. I have a degree. My 3 daughters have a degree. My husband has a degree. We're failing to maintain holding on to our house because municipal bills are so crazy. And I am so overeducated that nobody will employ me.
Okay.
And
So
I can't work as a cashier.
okay. So listen, I want you to explain something because when you say some things and you kind of go by them, because remember we're talking to our family in the United States also. We're trying to just bring
Yes,
them in
yes.
to get them to understand municipality bills. Talk about that. What are you speaking of? Tell us what those are.
Let me show you one. This is what a municipality bill looks like all over the country. Okay.
Okay, we're gonna have to trust you on that
Now,
because we can't see that. Go ahead.
sorry, I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
explain it to you. This
Okay.
municipal bill, right, has your tax invoice number, your account number. It has a inquiries call center that never works. It has the deposit you've paid when you switched on your account. And then it has the valuation of your property. First, it has your market value.
Okay.
Then it has your impermissible value. And then it has your rateable value, right? My house's market value and rateable value are only different by, I think it is about 15,000 Rand. My house's market value and rateable value are actually not even realistic by a long shot, based on the area in which I live. Based purely on the house and the size of the property, yes, but not where I live because it's an apartheid era demarcation that makes me never going to be equal to someone with the same house size and property in what was previously a white area. You see?
Okay, so wait a minute.
Then
Let me
different
put that. Let's
municipalities
put
have the
that.
power.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's put that in some type of I'm call it
Yes,
layman's terms. Okay, so you're saying that they have
right.
assessed the value of your home to be, let's say,
Yes.
Let's just use $1,000. I don't, 1,000. This, they have assessed the value of your home,
No,
and you're saying,
no. Let's be exact. Let's be exact about it. Let's be exact about it so people can get the proper idea, right?
okay, okay,
No, really.
okay.
Because if you're going to come and live here, then you need to know what you'll be paying, right?
Well, I just didn't want to.
Not even
I
in
don't.
an upmarket area. This is a middle class area.
Okay, so wait a minute.
1.8 million rand is how much in US?
Hold on. Let's just see. I don't like to give out personal information. I give as much as I
No,
can,
it's
but
not a problem. To me, it's not personal because these things are actually public in Pietermaritzburg at the moment where I live. This has become such an issue that we've got estate agents in the last month on Facebook saying who's selling their house in 30 days. Our corrupt municipality is going in, taking photos of people's houses and putting it on Facebook. Somebody had to remind them that you can't actually do that according to the Constitution. People
but
here are
wait a
fighting
minute.
to keep
Hold
their homes
on.
because,
No, you have to
yes.
give permission. Well, we ain't gonna get into that today, but that is my area of expertise. I love real estate, but let's do
Yes, they're
this.
not supposed to do it.
Well, you have to get the permission of the person whose house you're selling to do things like that. But anyway, getting back to the question, 1.8 million is 100 and it is 104,000. So it's 100. Let's say $105,000. So your house has been assessed value of $105,000, right?
But if I had to put it on the market, the most I will get is half of that.
Okay, so let's slow down. Let's just ask some questions and figure out why are we saying that? Why are you saying that? If your excess value, now I'm coming from somewhere from the United States, it may be different, but let me tell you my thoughts. Usually, assessed
Yes.
value is based on the size of a home, the lot size of the home, and amenities and the build of the home. But one of the most important things is how much are houses selling for in that area, let's say within 3 miles, or that would be different from you all, but within a certain radius around that
Right.
area. That's usually what your
Now,
assessed value is based upon. So I
now
want
you
to hear
see,
from
let me
you.
put it in,
I want to hear from
let
you
me
though.
explain it
First
to
of
you
Wait a minute, but I want to
yeah,
hear
go
from
on.
you. Why do you think that your property that is assessed valued at 104 or $105,000 or 1.8 million? Why do you think you would only get $60,000 for your $60,000 for
Okay,
your home? Why do you
let me
think
tell
that?
you why. Because actually, in South Africa, we use previous in everything that we say when we're talking about apartheid. So we say previously Indian only, previously white only, previously colored only, previously black only, right? But now the thing is that we say that because it's polite to explain to people who don't know, expecting them to understand. But if you are a South African, you know exactly what that means. We, amongst ourselves, we say Indian area, colored area, white area, black area. That's what we say to each other.
Okay, but do
When we're
you
being
know
politically correct,
that's so politically incorrect. You shouldn't do that. It shouldn't matter. That's almost like saying, I don't want to be graphic. It's certain things
no,
that
go
that
on, because you want to know. That's why you should know. You see, the thing is that ask me. And that's why I'm saying to you,
but no, what I'm
go
not
into it.
even though that it's something
Yeah.
that may be being done, that in my opinion would be something that is totally incorrect because we're not in apartheid anymore, and that's something that you
Yes,
don't.
but you see, you may feel that we're not in the
Yeah.
apartheid of the mind, which some of us we are not. We were never even in the apartheid mind when we were in apartheid. We were protesting it.
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, my mind is not an apartheid mind. I'm not that
Okay.
person.
Okay.
All right. I am a different person.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm an enlightened person. I'm an intellectual. I am an academic. I am well traveled. I am married to a black person. I'm not categorized as black in South Africa. When I'm filling in a form, I'm required to tick the Indian box. My children who identify as black have been told even while they're going into high school, oh no, you should be ticking colored, not black. But they're very strong about their identities. So when you start talking, you see, I'm a South African. I am South African and African down to my marrow of my bones, you see. So
Okay.
I understand. And I'm trying to explain to you that apartheid did not only just exist in the mind.
No.
Apartheid was carved out into a spatial. planning of South Africa that ensured that racial social cohesion would be difficult to happen.
Exactly.
And each of these different race-based areas that they created were not just like 5 or 10 people. We're like, oh, apartheid's over now. Let's just all move near our friends that we had of
No,
other races.
it doesn't
First
happen
of
like
all,
that.
no. So you've got density. Let's use the word density so you understand it better. A white area, previously white area, would be an area you would call a low density area. That means smaller number of people to greater amount of space, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at the average size of a piece of land in what was previously a white area. You're looking at an acre or just under,
Right.
sometimes more. Manicured lawns, we're talking about the middle classes bordering on wealth. I've lived in the UK and I lived and worked with a wealthy family. You couldn't swing a cat in their backyard. Whereas in South Africa, the middle classes in apartheid, in the white areas, lived in wealth. When you came to the Indian and colored areas, we have what you call medium density. So the number of people in relation to the sizes of the space drops.
Okay, but
So,
listen, I don't
your
want to. I don't.
land is closer together.
But
Let me
listen,
finish what I'm saying because
I
these
know,
are
but no,
facts.
no, I don't.
You
I
can
don't want
check
you to
them.
finish. I don't want you to finish. I'm gonna tell you what I do want you to
Okay.
finish, but I want you to go back because you and I can talk forever.
Yes.
I want you to remind.
Right.
We got to remember
Go
that
on.
we on a live show and we got
Go
to
on. Go on. Go on.
keep the
Go on.
information
Go on.
going. Can you hear me?
Go on.
Okay, so listen, I want you
Yes.
to
Yes.
go on. I want you to go on with your municipality bills because that's where we were, and let's stay right there.
Yes. So
So
now I'm
that's
talking to you about the municipality bill and why my house is worth half of what they're charging me for. I live in I don't live in a white area, previously white area, where I've got plenty of space between my house and my neighbors and all the rest of it and rolling lawns. I'm in a medium density area. A high density area would be your previously black townships where houses are virtually on top of each other. So in the place where I live, although my land is 800 square meters, the house next door is virtually on top of my roof. And there's a flat on the other side of me, with all the problems that come with flats. And in the entire road behind me are houses and an area that began as one of the apartheid era subsidized housing for Indians that, were called government houses. So it was poor families that, so there's even a social class difference really in reality, even, in terms of the people who live in this Indian area, right? But when I put my house on the market to test that theory about 10 years ago, I was offered 700,000 for my house. The person who bought my house was going to change it into school housing for all the kids from the Eastern Cape that are at school up the road here, because the Eastern Cape education is broken. I'm not selling. I'm not going to, I didn't want to sell then really, and I don't want to sell now, but I'm struggling to pay rates on a house that's nowhere near what I'm being rated at. I've got the size of my house means I must be able to fix my roof. I can't because I'm paying my rates. The
so.
size, I can't maintain the house.
Are you able to challenge your rates? Because sometimes you would have an assessor come
I've
in.
challenged it. I've
Okay.
challenged it now. I've put in the paperwork. It's been 6 months. I checked on it 2 weeks ago. I was told, just wait. I'll hear a drone in my yard soon. I'm still waiting for the drone,
Okay. Okay.
And I've got a year's worth of bills. I've just calculated this bill. The numbers on this bill don't even add up to the number on the current section. This is the case every single month with not just me, it's the whole city. Because municipalities are doing their own thing. Now the DA is stepping in at the moment. They've made a grand gesture to the country and said, oh, we'll step in and help ailing municipalities. Right? But when we have been shouting about rates, the DA has kept quiet. The reason the DA has kept quiet is because they want to help ailing municipalities buy back properties at cheaper prices. You see? Because they'll purchase it. They are the ones with the loans. They are the ones with the money and all of that to actually now buy back.
So listen, let me say this. Let's
Why
because
didn't you
we
help before if
let's
you wanted to
let's
help anyone?
let's just say this, which I'm trying to have more of a conversation, but listen, you're saying a lot. Okay, so if they bought the property back from you or bought them back for anyone, they have assessed your property at 1.8 million. Are you saying that
No, if
they?
I'm talking about seizures, I'm talking about
Oh,
municipal bills being so high that what municipalities are doing is that they're sending you nonsense bills, nonsense bills, nonsense bills. You're struggling to pay. You're running up and down to sort it out. Not just me, I'm talking about pensioners losing their houses. I'm
and they
still
would.
okay.
Oh, I see
What's
what you're
happening to
saying.
these people is that their houses are so overrated, they can't manage. Then the
Wow.
municipality comes with sales and execution. These are elderly people whose children are working overseas or in Joburg and have their own families and children, and they really can't help you. They're losing their houses. The
I
estate
understand.
agents are the ones who were standing up in the protest and saying, look, Mr. Mayor, I'm with Auntie so and so. She lives by herself in this house in Eastwood, which is a ex-colored only area. And her house is valued at 2 million and she has to pay rates of 2,000. It makes no sense. And I'm telling you this as an estate agent,
Okay, I
you
understand
know?
what you're saying now. So listen, okay, so we're going to get back to whoa, because that's a lot. We have a lot. There's a lot of problems. I agree, but we're talking about the missing middle class now. With all that said, are you saying that you are a part of this missing middle class, but your income, monthly income, supersedes what they have said the BER has classified to be the middle class? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying I'm the missing middle class. I'm saying I'm the fallen middle
The
class.
fallen.
My
Oh
children,
wow.
I'm the fallen middle class.
Okay, so
I
listen.
am so overeducated because I was the middle class.
Okay. Okay,
I
so
I I came now it's up to my next generation. So for example, say I have a child now as any Indian middle class person like me, right? If I was in the civil service, I'll be preparing to retire. In fact, I would have been offered early retirement at 50 because we've got so many young unemployed people, right? But when I worked in the civil service at a time when they decided, wait a minute, we don't need any more permanent staff because now with permanent staff we have to give them subsidies for houses and whatever. There was a scam that was going on in the 90s, late 90s. Civil servant husbands and wives were getting divorced so that they could both get a subsidy, and they were buying.
wow.
So there were all these people I know even. So what they were doing was, because if you were a couple who was civil servants, you only qualified for a single subsidy. What they were doing was they were getting divorced. Then the wife was buying a house, right, or flat or whatever. Then they quietly go and live together again, carry on with their lives while that flat is being rented, all illegal. That now has also developed into the retired middle class. But then they compounded that with debt. Consumerism is so rife that while they were working and they've got their two houses, they've got credit cards as well. Now they're retired, they still have to pay back the credit card. I can't hear you.
Miss Juanita,
I can't hear
listen,
you.
you have so much to offer and so much that you
I
can
have
talk
to go
about.
now myself. I'm tired.
We're gonna have to have different conversations at different meetings some other time.
You
But
need
let me
to
read
come
this
to Peter
comment.
Maritzburg for a
Let me
weekend and
read
let
the
me
comment.
drive you around in the day.
Let me read the comment because I want you to understand this. Miss Anna says it's important that our views remain our views, not say in South Africa, because we have over 21,000 lower middle class and upper middle class neighborhoods. I definitely agree with that. And you're right. Our views are our views. We do definitely have different
I did
opinions.
specifically say KwaZulu
Okay, so wait a
Natal.
minute. Hold on. Hold on.
I said KwaZulu and I said Peter Maritzburg.
Hold
Yes.
on. Miss Fifi, thank you,
Yeah.
Fifi, for all that you do for the channel. She says, so it's something to do with race or what? I believe what she's saying is When you
Yes,
say, previously, I
based on
definitely think
economics.
that is giving place to race, which I think is very unfair because the property should speak for itself, especially nowadays. But that's a show on another day. We got some more. We want to go to Kazi Saley, and I hope I said that right. Thank you so much for being here. As a South African, OMG, this lady's embarrassing. I'm sorry. Can she learn to listen and stop talking over people? I don't think,
Okay, look,
Miss
I'm
Juanita,
tired and
wait,
I
Miss
have to go
Juanita,
now as
hold
well.
on. Miss Juanita, hold on. Excuse me. I didn't
I'm
know
so
it said all
exhausted.
that.
Yes.
But listen, I
Ah,
think
they
there
can
is
say
a
what they
delay.
like. I don't mind.
I think there's a delay in our conversation, but she's a delay, so she hears me later. But we're gonna be nice.
Yes, there is. There is a delay.
There's a delay. So Fifi says again,
Yeah.
okay, so they are trying to run you out or make you take a loss in your sale. But listen, I want to talk about that for just a moment, Miss Juanita, and then I'm gonna let you go. I know you said
Yeah.
you tried the market some time ago, but I actually think, and this is just me, with the property being assessed at $104,000, I think you should try to market again if you want to move to see how much money you can make. Because that, for me coming from the U.S., that is an investor's price, and people will invest in that property, rehab it a bit, and they may do an Airbnb. I don't know where it's located per se, but there may be something that could be done with that if that's something that you want to do. But if
That's what
not,
I'm doing. No, I'm doing that. I'm at the
I,
moment, I'm doing that. Mm.
I definitely think that you should continue to dispute those assessors bills or what have you, because you shouldn't be paying for something that doesn't exist or that's not right. That doesn't make sense to me. But my last comment to you, I think that was the last comment that was basically centered around what you were talking about. But my last comment to you is, so that we understand that there is a missing middle class, what is your suggestion for this middle class to make it stronger? Because like I said or believe, home ownership and consumerism, it goes along with it, is what thrives that market. But what would you say to that? Because you already said if you had, your younger generation or the people that are coming after you. So in some way you must agree with that too. But I want you to add to that a little bit, and then we're going to move on. So go ahead and add to that.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I think that we need to stop cutting links in our chain. An economy works well and a middle class will grow when everybody is doing things in the way that they should, paying the right people the right prices to do things. If we're going to say labor is worth something, then we must only pay that amount. That's who we must hire. At the end of the day, if we live in a country where the wealthy and the middle classes are prepared to cut out locals, right, and employ foreigners, foreign Africans to do things, whether it's to be a teacher as a UTE, unprotected temporary employee, or whether it is to employ someone as a teacher in your not private, but these semi-private, independent schools. If this guy wants to charge 100 rand to dig a hole for today, and the foreigner is saying, I'm going to do it for 20. If from the richest, the wealthy, to the middle classes, upper middle, lower middle, then working classes. Even the working classes has their whatever. If we don't do things the right way, then we're all part of the corruption. We're all part of the lack of money at the end of the day. So, for example, I have a
Wait a minute.
tenant,
No, no,
right?
no, no examples. No examples, because I do have
Okay, no,
other
that's
people.
fine. It's all right.
Well, I'm just
So the
saying,
poor, the poor and the
I
working
want
class
you to,
are stop subsidizing the rich.
Miss Juanita, I want you to wrap it up because I do have other people that would like to come
I'm
in
done.
and
I'm
make a
done
comment.
now. I'm done
But
now.
but
Let
let
the
me say
haters come
this.
and
But
talk who have no solution.
let me make a comment to the last thing that you actually said. I understand what you're saying, and corruption is not good. But capitalism and making money per se are something that people do, and it's very hard to control what an individual would charge for their services. It's very hard to control that, especially if a person is self-employed.
We
So
have those
I
things regulated in South
you
Africa. We
well, you
have
have
minimum
some,
wage.
you
We
have
have minimum wage.
you have some things regulated, but private businesses are not
Minimum wage is
in
regulated.
in my because
Minimum wage is
I've been here,
regulated.
I've spent a lot of money over this last, me and Mr. Boss have spent a lot of money over the last year in services and in retail. There has been some things that doesn't appear to be regulated. There has been people, I guess, that you can't even work with because of the labor costs and things of that nature. And I don't think that anybody is regulating them. And it could be just the fact that they don't want to do the business. Who really knows? I don't know. But I hear what you're saying, but you said if everybody does what they're
That's the
supposed to
break in
do,
the chain
but
you're
everybody
talking
is
about.
not going. No one, everybody is not going to ever do what they're supposed to do. Then that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
And then that's why putting forward solutions are so difficult. I said to you at the
Yeah,
beginning of this
it's not going to
conversation.
happen. But
Remember what I said?
I think that South Africa is on the right track as far as democracy goes. I think that there needs to be some. I think there's some things that are being overturned now. I see Victoria. I think her name is Victoria Africa. I see her out there. She's marching. She's making a big
Who?
deal about. I think her name is Victoria Africa. I think so, or Victoria Africa. I don't know if that's just the name of the site or what have you. But she is
What is she
fighting a
doing?
lot of. She's fighting against a lot of illegal immigration and people on the side of the road
About
selling. And she's
Dula.
just. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know
Are
what
you
she's
talking
doing
about Dudu?
exactly. But I just saw a couple of videos that came across from her. But anyway, listen, it's been a pleasure, like always. But listen, we have to figure some things out because we got to have more of a conversation. I do know that the delay hurts a bit. We might have to get you some headphones or something so we can have more of a touch and go conversation
You
because I
know,
like to interject. Yes.
can I say one last thing to you? You
Yes.
know, the unfortunate thing is I had a laptop stolen on one of my journeys, and then after that, the hard drive as well. And I wish I'd still had it. I have a handful, but not a lot. Because on that 3 terabyte hard drive was documented 2 years of my traveling from one end to the other end, up, down, left and right, and round of South Africa. That's besides the traveling I've done for work. Now, I'm a South African who doesn't just speak from I've used my locality as an example of my struggle as a fallen middle class. I don't have an income that is allowing me to look after my house. And the point is also, I'd like you to look at the concept of emakaya. You see, in South Africa, owning a house is not just about wealth or investment. An emakaya is a family home that is supposed to withstand any political disaster of any kind for generations to come. So this house is not an investment. It was a bare piece of land bought by a working class man who didn't drink, didn't smoke, who was Christian, my family's church going, who built this brick for brick as someone who him and his wife came from shacks where their parents were laborers, indentured laborers from an apartheid era. That's history. But you build this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then on top of that, it now becomes an emakaya to generations that come after me. My granddaughter and other grandchildren I may have, if we lose this house, will have no security because their parents, the generation below me, our children who are in that age group of 20 to 32, say, right, may be in the job market, but they're facing high interest rates. They're facing transport costs because you see where you live in Joburg, things are far away from each other. When I go to Joburg, I love to come back home because if I've got friends in different places, if I'm going from Pretoria, then seeing the other child in Sandton, then I'm
You know
going
what,
somewhere else, it's like you're driving for hours and hours.
Miss
Things are smaller
Juanita?
here. You
Okay.
get to see the picture faster.
Okay. So I want you to get to your
You
point
get
because
to see the picture that I'm describing to you faster.
I think the point that you're getting to is
My
this.
point is, my point is that when I speak about in South Africa, I've seen every community from here to the Northwest Province. I've worked with government, I've worked with NGOs, including ILO, and communities building partnerships from buffalo breeding to education. So when I say in South Africa, I'm speaking from places and roads and forests and hills and valleys that not every South African has seen.
Okay.
You know? So for me, when I speak, it's an overview of a country that is so disconnected from each other spatially. Every province is different from each other. Every section of that province is different. But one thing is the same. Every single part was divided with an apartheid mentality in mind that was going to pervade up to today, even to the kitchen table of the people having the meal at it.
Okay. I understand that.
Goodbye for now.
All right.
All
I'll
right.
see you soon. Bye bye.
Cheerio.
Bye bye.
Nice chatting
So,
with you
you
again.
too. We're going to have to do it another time. So, Miss Juanita, thank you so much for all of that. Miss Juanita, you have definitely you are a South African and you are well rounded on the history of South Africa. And we will chat about that some other time. And I think what her final point was is that it's by design, but it's time to now. I didn't hear you say this, but I think it's now time to have another design. I'm not saying throw it away, what was done or forgot, or what was done, I should say. Don't throw it away. Keep it in your mind, your first thought. But it was done improperly. The apartheid was a bad thing. It wasn't something that we should continue to live by, in my opinion. So if you want to do some things different, you have to go by it a different way. So that part about Mrs. Juanita mentioned previous Indian house or previous, that's not something. The home should speak for itself. The value of the home should speak for itself. And if somebody wants to purchase this house on this corner or wherever it is or in this estate, no matter who lived in it before you, whatever happened 30 years ago or what have you, you need to make a decision if you want to purchase this home. That's what I think. And y'all could tell me if y'all think that too. I think we lost a caller or two. But anyway, Miss Juanita's long-winded. Anyway, I thank her for that because she does help us out a lot with what she's bringing to the channel and her opinions. But let me just go back. I think it was some comments that I missed that I wanted to mention because, again, we're talking about the missing middle class. And again, y'all, for those of you that are just coming into the live, make sure you give me a thumbs up as you come in. Of course, that is for free. The part I want to know more about is this really real? Is this a missing middle class? Because there's been studies, the stats show that middle class here is between Rand 5,000 to 29,000 Rand. And some of you, or most of you, are just saying that is just not heard of. That could not be missing class. That's a bare minimum. If not, what are we living off of? What are we saying? What is driving this middle class? Where is this consumerism coming from? Not that it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think this is what keeps the economy going. I really do understand and know that we need to do some different things. I actually think that it can't be defined mostly because home ownership has not been promoted or pushed in this area of the middle class. You can be known as middle class, but you can't purchase a home. That doesn't make sense. It has to make sense, right? So those are the questions I'm asking. And we're going back to this working class, the social group consisting of primarily people who are employed with unskilled labor. So you're talking about helpers, you would be talking about construction workers, I'm assuming. Yeah, those people too. Are they considered working class? I'm sure some of them make between the 5,000 Rand. I absolutely know they do make between the 5,000 Rand and the 29,000 Rand per month. I absolutely know they do. We pay our helper more than that. So I know that is true. So, and then someone else mentioned mining. I didn't even think about the mining, the engineers and all that. But somebody also mentioned civil servants. And they also mentioned in Soweto, I think it was Soweto, I can't get the comment now. But they were saying something about how a part of Soweto, a lot of the individuals have purchased some homes and it's the government. They work for the government. All that is true. And I think home ownership is a major part in this. And again, like I said, if we can keep the rates down, and it has nothing to do with me, but in some kind of way, if the bank would understand that, here it is. She's right. Live in the townships, but in the fastest growing township in Soweto called Portia Glen, we're mostly people that work in the government. That's where they stay. Yes. So these are the middle class individuals. So yeah, I think home ownership plays a huge part in that. Yeah, I do. So I just say all that to just keep in mind. But listen, the link is in the comment section. If someone else had something else they want to add to this missing middle class, I would love for you all to do that, or anything that you want to add to it. What some of the things that Miss Juanita brought up, or whatever it is you want to add, please go ahead and click the link, and you're welcome to come up and we can talk about it for a little bit. I'm gonna be here for just a little bit longer, and then I'm gonna be out of here. But definitely give me a thumbs up as you come into the live. Listen, it is approximately 8:05 here, and what time is it in the United States? It's 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So anyway, y'all listen, I want to hear more about this because it was a question there a while back as far as me and Mr. Boss here in South Africa being middle class. I would say that we're maybe part of the upper middle class. I haven't looked at anything besides what was it, Tulani mentioned to us about the middle class as far as the range and the income and how it's determined. So I didn't go any further than that. But it is definitely something that I'm definitely going to look into because we were definitely middle class or in the United States, but it's definitely different. The range, the money, all this is different from here to there. But y'all got to keep in mind, I can't wait to get into real estate here. I can't wait. I'm going to find out who to talk to. I'm going to find out who's in charge. I'm going to talk to them. What is going on here? What is going on here? What can I do? How can we do this thing? Because I think that is very good real estate here, very good investments. And like the point that Miss Juanita was making, she is saying that her father and mother built this house. This is a family home. I'm assuming there's no mortgage attached. There's no way she should be able to lose her property. This should be something that is going from her to her daughters to her grandkids and on and on and on. And I definitely agree with what she's saying. So there shouldn't be, in her opinion, any municipality bills or excessive fees, tax, vets, whatever you want to call them, that will attach to her property that could ever make her lose her property. I understand exactly what she's saying, but we're living in a time and a place where those costs are actually what keep us going. We pay taxes on everything. We own a car, we own a house. You own these things, but you still have to pay property taxes. You still have to pay, well, with a vehicle, you still have to register and put tags on your cars, all way in which to make money to keep the country or the state that you live in going. This is what they say. Now, you should never get into a place where the assessor fees are so high, or the tax values or fees and all these things are so high that you would lose your home. I understand that, but this is something that is happening. So I hope you find help so you can get this situation turned around. If nothing else, get the correct information, because you wouldn't want that to happen from just incorrect information. But I can tell you something better. People lose homes due to HOA fees. Homeowners Association can put a lien on your property if you don't pay them. And you may not own anything. It is really terrible in some cases. You know, you fail to pay to paint a fence, they can send you fees and fees and fees, and fees could end up requiring lawyers. It could actually put you in jail for a short period of time till you come up with the money. So that's just the time that we're living in. But again, I agree with you that this is my home. My mother and father built this home, so I shouldn't have anything that would cause me to lose this place. I do agree. But that's just not where we are. That's not how it goes anymore. The taxes or the vet fees or the property value is what we call it. It's all been assessed every month, and you have to pay it. I know. I get it. I definitely understand what you're saying. People research the group area account. It's what everything is built upon. And she also says, oh, gosh, I'm not saying we shouldn't pay. Oh, no. I think you got to pay. You got to pay. I'm saying that I don't want the assessor fees to exceed what they should. You should pay what you actually owe. But it's almost like, why should you pay? Your dad built a house. If you don't have a mortgage or something, if you didn't borrow against it, why should I continue to pay for it? I agree. I'm both ways, because you do have to keep society going. This is true. All these things that we pay do help with what needs to be done. It helps us a standard of living. We do need that, because you want roads, you want lights, we want all these things to be in place. We want a beautiful country. You want your community and everything to be well kept. You want people to pick up your trash. You want people in parliament to be paid. All these things are, happening. I get it. But I'm on both sides of it. I would like to hear, rent-free, vet-free, tax-free. I would love to live that way too. I would love to have to think about paying anybody anything after I've already purchased my home and car or what have you. So I'm agreeing with you on both sides. So, but definitely you don't want to lose your home behind it. You definitely don't want to. So anyway, the link is in the chat. If someone else has something they want to come up and offer, I would appreciate it. Miss Fifi says, yes, here people have lost homes when the values went up. The taxes became unaffordable for some. It's happening all the time. All the time. And like I said, not only that, that happened to us one time before. A few years back, many years back, there was a new assessment that came in that forced the property value up on our home, so which made the property taxes outrageous, which for us, our property taxes and our insurance bill, it kind of went hand in hand, because when you pay your mortgage, you pay PMI, the mortgage, the property taxes, and insurance. So it made your mortgage payment actually go up. So where you might have been paying only $800 for mortgage, when the tax bill increased to $1,500 to $2,000 a year, and then you had your insurance, which was $3,000 a year. All that was incorporated in your monthly fee. So even though you may have had enough for the mortgage, they were not going to accept that from you if you didn't have enough for the taxes and insurance, because that too needed to be paid. So that did force a lot of people into foreclosure, and we actually had to get a house reassessed. It was such a bad, because there are some people, y'all, that it's like crazy. They might have went from, $300,000, $400, because they never had any mortgage for, like she said, her mother and father built the place, but then there are houses moving in nearby. There may be $1 million properties. It is going to increase the value of your property. It is, and it made their value. It could be like you went from paying pennies and property taxes to now you paying $100,000. Now your value is $100,000, $200,000. Even my dad's house, it's probably tripled. Yes, it's tripled. I mean, he's still paying, still maintaining, but it has gone up a lot due to values that are coming in around him. So that's just a part of it. The group areas account was a cornerstone of South Africa's apartheid policy enacted in 1950 to enforce racial segregation by designating separate residential business areas for different racial groups. I understand that. I understand redlining and all of that, but I think we're in a time now where there are a lot of people from the United States, UK, Europe, everywhere. They're moving to South Africa legally, coming in. And we are doing new business. We're buying homes everywhere. We're bringing in American dollar, bringing in other types of currency or what have you. And we want different, because we're not living in the apartheid anymore. I grew up in a Jim Crow era, and area. And I understand what it is to be segregated. I understand the redlining. I understand all of that. But I do also, and I praise God that I'm a forward thinker, that I have to get beyond that, because I say it's often, you do have to work hard to do that, because you're constantly reminded. But we have to get out of that. And like I said, I was speaking about bad behavior. Y'all also know that bad behavior pushes the systems. That's what it is. They push these systems. And we, some way, have to break out of these systems, because here in South Africa, it is 80% brown skin. So if we are able to buy, we should be wanting to purchase wherever our money will allow us to purchase. And then we can live comfortably. Just like Miss Juanita said, there's been one, I don't know if she said he was African American, but I think she definitely said black man that has bought on her street in the last, 30 years. This is the first time. So I hope I hope this was a good investment for him. And I hope he makes a difference. Because sometimes people often have said, listen, when we move in, they move out. I don't know. I don't care. But, maybe that's not the case. But you do want to make sure that you can invest your monies wherever it is, because we are no longer living in the apartheid time, and we're trying to move forward. So we'll see. Listen, guys, there's no one else. I think, missed a couple calls, but if there's no one else here that has anything else to offer, I am going to say good night, and I will be back next week. And until then, y'all have a good night.